Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caden Kubler, and thank you so much for tuning into Caden's Corner today. We've got an amazing stream ahead of this glorious weekend of football. I cannot believe we are already into week 5 of the NFL season, and we are already halfway through the college football regular season. It is absolutely insane, but here we are. Let's enjoy every single one of these weekends. I will be breaking down the entire college football slate starting tonight. We've got a bunch of games tomorrow, and of course, we've got a glorious Week 5 slate in the NFL. That started last night. I'll be breaking down that game, but we'll be going through all the games on Sunday as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been getting some absolute bangers on prime time in the NFL. It has been unbelievable. Last night, we saw the San Francisco 49ers against the Los Angeles Rams. Everybody said that the Rams would absolutely steamroll the Niners, that the 49ers had no chance at winning this game. No Purdy, no Kittle, no Ayuk, no Juwan Jennings, no Ricky Pearsall, no Nick Bosa. The hospital 49ers had no chance against the Los Angeles Rams. But the 49ers, they came in and pulled off a massive upset, and this was an unbelievable performance on Thursday Night Football, and we've been getting a ton of great primetime games, and it almost felt like we were going to see another tie on a primetime game. We obviously saw that one on Sunday Night Football between the Packers and the Cowboys, and it felt like we were going to see the same thing with the 49ers and the Rams. It was 23 apiece. We headed into overtime. Mac Jones was doing his thing. He was banged up. Matthew Stafford was having a terrific game, and the San Francisco 49ers were able to pull away in the end. They got a massive stop on 4th down. Robert Saleh has had this defense in tip-top shape all season long, and the 49ers now pull off a massive win. They move to 4-1, and the massive storyline that is going on throughout the NFL right now as we sit on this Friday afternoon is whether Mac Jones or Brock Purdy should be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Now, I do believe that this is a little bit foolish, to be quite honest, with where we're at with the San Francisco 49ers and where we're at with Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. Purdy's been a little banged up over the last 2 years, and he's already missed 3 games this season. We've seen Mac Jones come in and play some really good football. I cannot lie. Mac Jones has been doing his thing, and he did so on prime time against a Rams defense that has been terrific, to be quite honest with you guys. Mac Jones had a heck of a performance. He was also dealing with injuries of his own in that game. We saw him go down. We were wondering if we were going to get an Adrian Martinez sighting. I was really hoping we were going to get to see my boy 2 a.m. play against the Rams, but Mac Jones was able to gut it out. He was 33 of 49, 342 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and you can say, well, who's he throwing the ball to? I don't even know. Like, Mac Jones was doing his thing with guys that are not top tier receivers in the NFL. Kendrick Bourne had a terrific game, but the Niners throughout Brock Purdy's career have always had great weapons. You've got Brandon Ayuk, who's paid like one of the top receivers in football. They obviously had Deebo Samuel, but they traded him away this year. George Kittle, one of the top tight ends in the league, but it was really just Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, and Kyle Shanahan out there doing their thing, and they had a terrific performance on Thursday Night Football. Mac Jones now in 3 starts for the 49ers has 904 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick, and more importantly, he is 3-0 on the season, which is unbelievable. He's been playing some really good football. He's got some incredible moxie, and that's when everybody starts comparing him to Brock Purdy. Is it the system? Is it what Kyle Shanahan is doing that ultimately makes these quarterbacks succeed? And I think there is definitely a piece of truth to that. You look at Kyle Shanahan when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan, he took him all the way to the Super Bowl, and Matt Ryan won the MVP that year. Then he goes to the 49ers. He takes Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. He takes Brock Purdy to the Super Bowl, and he's having this type of success with Mac Jones. And originally, he wanted Mac Jones over Trey Lance when they ultimately took Lance 3rd overall a few seasons ago. Mac Jones never got the proper opportunity in New England. If you remember, he went there. He had a terrific rookie season. He went to the Pro Bowl, was grittying in the end zone. Everybody loved Mac Jones. when it was his rookie year. But after that, everything kind of went south for the Patriots. They ended up having a defensive coordinator call plays for one of the years that Mac Jones was there. They never really surrounded him with great weapons. So in my opinion, Mac Jones never had a fair shot when he was in New England. And so it was just a bad opportunity. They hit the panic button on him too early. He goes to Jacksonville to back up Trevor Lawrence, plays a few games last year when T-Law gets hurt. Then he comes to San Francisco to back up Brock Purdy, finally gets his opportunity this year, and he has had a terrific season. And it's been so fun to watch him revitalize his career, because I feel like we've seen this so much in the NFL as of late. When you look at Sam Darnold revitalizing his career, or you look at Daniel Jones revitalizing his career, geez Louise, or you look at Geno Smith. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks that have struggled earlier on. They get another opportunity, and we're seeing that right now with Mac Jones. And yes, he's a great backup quarterback, but I think you're going to see a team take a shot on him in the next year or two and say, okay, Mac, we like what you're doing. We're going to give you an opportunity to be a starting quarterback again in the NFL. And I would bet money that he will get another opportunity one day. But I believe this ultimately shows the greatness of Kyle Shanahan. He is one of the best coaches in football. His coaching tree is already unbelievable. The quarterbacks that he's taken to the Super Bowl and had success with is unbelievable right now. And it seems like the list just goes on and on and on. And I know that everybody's asking this question, like, oh, who should be the starting quarterback moving forward? I mean, it's obviously Brock Purdy. And even if there was a question about who it should be, which I don't believe it should be, Mac Jones is playing good football, but I mean, we've got to be realistic here. Brock Purdy took this team to the Super Bowl, knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles. He nearly beat Patrick Mahomes, and they went to overtime. He played maybe his best game in the Super Bowl, one of the best games I've ever watched him play. Brock Purdy's an absolute gamer, absolute baller, and that's the thing that everybody forgets about him now that we're seeing some success with Mac Jones. But I believe that Purdy is going to be the guy, and even if there was some sort of question mark, you're going to give the benefit of the doubt to Brock Purdy because he's being paid $50+ million per year. So when a guy's being paid that much money, you're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you're ultimately going to have him be your starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. And that's what we're seeing with San Francisco. Mac Jones is playing at an unbelievable level. He has been really, really fun to watch. For the Los Angeles Rams, another game where you walk away and you feel like, man, they should have won this game. They shot themselves in the foot again. I mean, fumbles on the 1-yard line, penalties, going for it on that 4th and 1, calling the same play that you'd seen them run a few times. They get stuffed. It just felt like this was a game that Los Angeles shot themselves in the foot again. And it was the same thing, whether you look at a blocked field goal again, or you look at a missed extra point, it's the same thing with the Los Angeles Rams that we see every year. They shoot themselves in the foot. They start slow. They play down to their competition. And we should be looking at a 5-0 Los Angeles Rams team right now. If I'm being 100% transparent with you guys, the Los Angeles Rams, they should have beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They were up 19 points in the third quarter. They were dominating that game. They looked really, really good. And then all of a sudden, they're nowhere to be found for the final 2 quarters of the game. Eagles come back. Rams miss two field goals, and they ultimately don't win that game. Then they're up against a 49ers team that's absolutely decimated. They should have no shot in the world, but the Rams play down to their competition again, and they lose. They're 3-2, lose a really vital NFC West matchup that, if I'm being quite honest with you guys, they should have won this football game, and the fact that they lost is unbelievable to me. They should be 5-0, and we are witnessing Matthew Stafford play at an MVP level right now. I mean, he's truly playing like the best quarterback in the NFC, in my opinion. Last night, 30 for 47, nearly 400 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Stafford, there was just so many terrific throws from him last night where I'm like, man, the fact that this guy is still doing this at, 37 years old is incredible, like truly incredible. And the Rams, they're so dynamic offensively. And they just go through these swells sometimes where they just stop, and it's like they play down to their competition in the regular season, and then when the playoffs come around, that's when they really start to do their thing. So I do believe that the Rams will pick it up. They'll make, as long as they make the playoffs, that's when they really truly lock in and play to their full potential. And when Kyren Williams is fumbling the football again, I mean, it just makes me lose my mind because it's just the same rinse and repeat process with him. It just seems like Kyren Williams is fumbling in the big moments in every single game. He did it last night. He did it against the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs that ultimately cost him. Kyren Williams is really struggling to hold on to that football, and the Rams continuously shoot themselves in the foot. Matthew Stafford pitches it to Blake Corum. He muffs the ball. It was on the kickoff. The refs blew the whistle, saying that the dude's forward progress had stopped, and it just clearly hadn't. And they go for it on that 4th and 1 and don't get it. Just so many different things throughout that game that you look at, you're scratching your head. You're like, man, how did the Rams lose this game? There's no way they should have lost it. Mac Jones on one leg. None of their top receivers are out there. It's just Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, and Mac Jones, and the Rams drop another one. I'm floored right now because they should be 5-0 right now. And if you guys have been listening to the show at all for weeks, I have been saying that this Rams team will make the Super Bowl, and I feel confident that they will, but they've got to step up in the big moments. They can't play down to their competition and keep giving away these games at the very end, because it is brutal to watch on a weekly basis. That is now the second time they've done this so far this year. Unbelievable loss for the Los Angeles Rams. On the other side, a terrific win for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's get into our Sunday slate here. Some big storylines that happened this week. Without a doubt, the biggest one is Lamar Jackson. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing this week. Early reports came out after he suffered that hamstring injury against the Kansas City Chiefs last week. He was sidelined in the second half of that game. It was really from the end of the third quarter, maybe the end of the fourth quarter, where he didn't ultimately play. Down 17. He didn't come back in. And now it's being announced that he will miss 2 to 3 weeks. They're still trying to hold out some hope that he can go, but he has not practiced at all this week, and he did not practice today. I would not be surprised whatsoever if he did not play. He's doubtful right now, so we will see. The Baltimore Ravens are another team similar to the San Francisco 49ers that are a walking hospital right now. So many injuries, so many guys banged up, and you just cannot afford to lose these guys. For the 49ers, they're 4-1 and they're still winning football games. The Ravens, they've played some of the better teams in the NFL, and they are staring down the barrel of being 1-4 right now, playing a Houston Texans team that has one of the best defenses in football, going up against Cooper Rush, who's had some success as a backup before. But this is going to be a challenge for the Ravens because you're already 1-3. The defense has really struggled. On the other side, the Texans offensively have really struggled, but this defense is so good. Whereas the Ravens, it feels like their identity is going to have to be, hey, Derrick Henry, can you rush for 150 yards and win us this game and control the line of scrimmage, which he's capable of doing against anybody. But when you don't have Lamar Jackson to take away the attention and the pressure that is on Derrick Henry, you're looking at an uphill battle when it comes to winning this game against the Texans. They've moved to a 2.5-point favorite. This feels like a must win for both of these teams. Obviously, when you go 0-3, you have a 3% chance to make the playoffs. Both of these teams are 1-3. When you go to 1-4, the numbers would imply that you have a slim to none chance at making the postseason. Now, for the Texans, this is a bigger must win, in my opinion, because the second half of the schedule is a lot tougher for them than it is for the Ravens. The Ravens, I think, are looking at this like, hey, we're 1-3 right now. We've got the Texans this week, former playoff team. We've got the Rams next week, who also were a playoff team. Ultimately, you'd love to be 3-3, but that's probably not the situation where you're at. You feel like you've got a better chance at making the playoffs and getting on a big time run once you hit that bye week and once you can get Lamar Jackson at 100% health. Because if you're trotting him out there this week or you're trotting him out there next week and he's banged up and you're just trying to win 1 or 2 games, but sacrificing your whole season, that's a dangerous game to play. I think you ultimately sit Lamar Jackson for this week, see how he's feeling next week. Don't push anything because, hey, if he sits this week, you're 1-4. Sure, it stinks, but at least you know we're only 6 weeks into the season. After next week, we're in our bye week. Then we've got a really favorable second half of the schedule where after the bye week, you've got the Bears at home. You've got the Dolphins on the road on a short week. Then you're on the road against the Vikings. Then you're on the road against the Browns. Jets at home, Bengals at home, Steelers at home, Bengals on the road, Patriots at home, Packers on the road, Steelers on the road. Realistically, with the AFC right now, I would not be surprised if a team was 9-8 and made it into the playoffs with a lot of the injuries that we're seeing and some of the teams that just haven't been playing up to the expectation that everyone believes. It's a long season. The Ravens are going to have to ride the wave, and the numbers don't bode well for them if they go 1-5, but I've got to believe in Lamar Jackson. I've got to believe in this team if they can get healthy, more importantly. But this is a huge game for Houston. The defense is going to have to be unbelievable. They're going to have to slow down Derrick Henry. They are going to have to force Cooper Rush to beat them if he is ultimately the starter for Baltimore in this week 5 game. You've got to force Cooper Rush to beat you, because if Derrick Henry gets going, if he starts steamrolling that defense, look out, because it opens up everything for this team. The Ravens still have playmakers on the outside. Zay Flowers is dangerous. DeAndre Hopkins has had some big time catches. You need to force Cooper Rush to beat you, because if you do that, you feel like you've got a very good shot at winning this game. Houston also has been anemic offensively. They're putting up the fewest points per game in football, which is just unbelievable. It doesn't even sound right for a team that's quarterbacked by CJ Stroud, and you've got some pretty elite weapons on the outside. I believe for Houston, losing the first 3 games, obviously tough. You bounce back against Tennessee. Hopefully that is a major step in the right direction for them to get back on track, try and get back to the postseason. They've won this AFC South now for the last 2 seasons. CJ Stroud, only one of 6 quarterbacks in NFL history that has won a playoff start in each of his first 2 seasons in the NFL. CJ Stroud represents greatness. He's one of the great young quarterbacks in our league, and I believe he will get through this slump. He will remind everyone of his greatness, but man, does he need this win against Baltimore, because the next week they've got a bye week, but then the week after that, you're going on the road against Seattle. Then you've got San Fran at home. Then you've got the Broncos at home. This is a grueling schedule for Houston. They've got to get back on track before they start to meet some of these big time teams in the AFC later on. It's going to be an uphill climb if they continue to lose, but I like Houston to get back on track this weekend. Let's keep our eye on Lamar Jackson. Let's see if he tries to go this weekend. I would be floored if he did, but I would give him all of the respect in the world if he did as well. All right, let's run through all the games now that we've kind of gone through some of the big storylines. We broke down the Thursday night football game. Let's run through some of our games this weekend. All right, Vikings, Browns in London. A bigger storyline this week as well. Joe Flacco benched for Dylan Gabriel. Let's see if the Browns can get a little bit of a spark here. I didn't expect that Joe Flacco would get benched this early on in the season. If I were to guess, or if I would have guessed before the season started, I would have felt like, this Browns team, they don't stack up great in the division. They don't stack up great in the conference. They don't have too much talent overall, but Joe Flacco has played winning football over the last 2 years. So I felt confident that he could give the Browns some hope, some life for maybe the first half of the season or so. And then once you realized, okay, we aren't doing anything this year, we're headed for a top 5 pick in the draft, let's evaluate the young talent we have, because we did take 2 quarterbacks in the draft. We've got 2 rookie quarterbacks in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel was the backup quarterback to Joe Flacco. He is now the week 5 starter in London against the Minnesota Vikings, who've got a really solid defense coached by Brian Flores. This should be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm excited to see what type of juice, what type of spark that Dylan Gabriel can provide for this Browns team. A lot of the times you see moves like this early on in the year, or when a team is struggling because they need some new juice. They need a spark to try and get the season back on track. And it feels like that's what this move is for Cleveland when you're 4 weeks into the season, and when you're 1-3, you've got a great defense, but the offense is struggling. It's not doing great. You're looking for a spark, and hopefully Dylan Gabriel can give you that spark. I'm excited to see what he can do. If things go south over the next few weeks, I would not be surprised if they gave Shedeur Sanders a shot. spot. You want to evaluate your young talent to the best of your ability, especially if you know, hey, we're probably only going to win 1 or 2 games, maybe 3 if we're lucky this year. We're probably going to have a top 5 pick. If that's the case, and we don't feel that Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur can be our franchise quarterbacks moving forward, then hey, let's go take a stab at one of the QBs in this year's draft class, because you're going to have some really talented prospects. This is one of the more loaded quarterback classes that we've seen in a long time. So I'm very curious to see how Cleveland manages this situation at the quarterback spot throughout this season, because they've already moved on from Flacco. We're seeing what Dillon Gabriel can give you. Let's see if Shedeur Sanders gets a shot this year. I believe that he will. On the other hand, Minnesota is in an international game for the second week in a row. They were in Germany last weekend against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They dropped that one. They were in a pretty big hole early on. I know that score implies that it was a closer game than it actually was. It really felt like this was at arm's reach the entirety of that game. Minnesota looking to get back on track here. You don't want to fall in this hole in the NFC North with the amount of competition, with the amount of great teams you have there. Detroit right now is playing like a Super Bowl caliber squad. They're 3-1. This offense is all the way back. Of course, Green Bay, they're kind of going through a rough patch right now. A tie and a loss against the Browns and against the Cowboys. I'm not hitting the panic button because I think they're going to get a lot better offensively once they get some of those offensive weapons back on the outside. I'm not hitting the panic button too much on them. But for Minnesota, it feels like, hey, we've got to win this game. We've got to win the ones that are winnable. And you're a 3.5-point favorite. You're the favorites. You've got to take care of business here. You're going up against a rookie quarterback, Carson Wentz. He will be still at the helm with J.J. McCarthy injured. This is a game Minnesota has to win if they want to really have any shot at making the postseason this year, if they want to have any shot at going on a run and trying to get into the playoffs in terms of winning this division. I'm curious to see how they come out and play this one ultimately. All right, we've got the Raiders against the Colts. Colts 6.5-point favorite here. They should have beat the Los Angeles Rams last week. Adonai Mitchell with a crucial holding call that took away a touchdown, and then he caught that bomb that he fumbled at the 1-yard line, went out of the end zone for a touchback. I'm curious to see how the Colts can bounce back here. The Raiders, after pulling off a really impressive week 1 victory, have lost 3 in a row. Geno Smith, he's really struggling, man. He is really, really struggling, and it's a shame because Pete Carroll went after him and they wanted him. But I feel like right now with where we're at with Las Vegas, I feel like they are going to take a quarterback in the draft. And I know it's so early, but we're 4 weeks in. They traded for Kenny Pickett this offseason. It wouldn't even shock me if we saw Kenny Pickett at a certain point with really where this team is trending right now. They're trending in a really negative direction. Geno Smith is struggling in a big time way. I believe he has 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. No, he has 6 touchdowns to 7 interceptions right now. Didn't even mean that on purpose. 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 6-7. But he's struggling right now. He really is struggling, and he needs to turn it around, or else this ship is going to go down fast. It's going to sink fast. It's sinking. They're on their lifeline right now. I'm curious to see how Pete Carroll handles this situation, knowing that, yeah, it's year 1 in my tenure. We went after Geno Smith. We've got a lot of talent offensively with Brock Bowers, with Ashton Genty, who just had his best game as a pro with 3 touchdowns. Really curious to see how this Las Vegas team can bounce back here against Indianapolis. Same thing with Indianapolis. How will they bounce back as well against Las Vegas? All right, in the Toilet Bowl Part 1, we get the New York Giants going on the road against New Orleans. This is a weird one here. For New York, huge win with Jackson Dart. Cam Scatterbu looked awesome. Obviously, no Malik Neighbors. He tore his ACL very unfortunately, and that sparked a big argument throughout sports media this week about MetLife's field situation in terms of, do they go to turf? Do they stick with the do they stick with the artificial turf, or go to grass? What do they do with that? I'm curious to see what they end up doing for their field situation, but they do lose Malik Neighbors for the entirety of the season, and it's going to be really, really curious. I'm curious to see how Jackson Dart plays in week 2 without his top number 1 receiver in Malik Neighbors. I I don't know how New Orleans is favored in this game. I really don't. I mean, a 2.5-point favorite as an 0-4 team with Spencer Rattler, who's yet to win a game in the playoff or in a game in the regular season. It's really surprising to me. I don't know how they are favored in this game. Toilet Bowl Part 1. I like the Giants to win this one. I know I may be a square here, but this seems like a really trappy game. I would not be surprised if New Orleans won this here. For the Toilet Bowl Part 2, we have Miami going on the road against the Carolina Panthers. I don't want to kind of hit the panic button too fast here, but I've already hit it on the Carolina Panthers. I've hit it on Bryce Young. I've hit it on Dave Canales. I've hit it on this whole team. They're 1-3 right now, and they just got embarrassed against the New England Patriots, 42-13. If you're telling me that the Dolphins at 1-3 walk into Carolina and dog walk you, I think we're going to have some serious questions to be asking about this team. It's over for the Bryce Young era if they lose this game. It is over for the Dave Canales era. I wouldn't be surprised if he got fired after this game. And I'm not advocating for anyone to get fired. I want to make that known. I want to put that on the record. I'm not advocating for anyone to get fired, but I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me if things slipped away fast, which they're going that way. Bryce Young, he showed a little bit of strides last year in the second half of the year. He's really struggled this year. Everybody's criticizing the play calling. If Carolina loses this game to the Miami Dolphins, who are 1-3 and are Tyreek Hill lists, I don't know how you can simply say we're going to keep both of those guys around for much longer. I'm really nervous for this game because there are a lot of implications for Carolina, for Dave Canales, and for Bryce Young. We will see how Carolina ultimately can bounce back after getting their doors blown off against New England last weekend. Insert the Fortnite mini shield sound effect. All right. Cowboys, Jets. This seems like another trappy game. Like I mentioned, New Orleans is a 2.5-point favorite. They're 0-4 yet to win. And the Cowboys, feels like you're buying them at their all-time peak right now. Dak Prescott just had one of his best games ever, people are saying, in the NFL. And they tied against the Green Bay Packers, who've got a tremendous defense. They look really good. And the Cowboys tie against them. They put up 40 points. Dak has an incredible game. George Pickens has an incredible game. And now you're seeing them go up against the Jets, who are 0-4, just lost to the Dolphins. It seems like the sky is falling for New York. And now you're telling me that Dallas is only a 1.5-point favorite. This seems interesting. And I think the rate at which Dak is playing at right now, he's got to win this game. He really does have to win this game. I was super complimentary of him all season long. If he loses this game, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed in the Cowboys. I'm going to be disappointed in Dak. They need this win. Dak needs to have another terrific performance. I like the Cowboys to get this one done. Broncos, Eagles, Philadelphia, a 4.5-point favorite. Excuse me. Man, I haven't even been updating my graphics. You know, I had a nice little graphic for Lamar. I talked about him for 2 to 3 weeks. I've not been on it, ladies and gentlemen. So enjoy the Lamar graphic now. But we're previewing week 5. All right, Broncos, Eagles, Philly, 4.5-point favorite. I talked about this all week long as well. Philadelphia seems like they're getting the dynasty treatment right now. Everybody is criticizing the way in which they're winning. Oh, we don't like that Jalen Hurts isn't having 300 yards every single game. We don't like that Saquon Barkley's not having another 2,000-yard rushing season. Oh, A.J. Brown's getting upset on the sideline. They're winning football games. They're 4-0. Everybody's like, oh, this is the same Philadelphia team from 2023 where they get to the playoffs, they win 11 games, and they lose in the first round. Why are we making this comparison? People are saying people said the same thing last year. They were 2-2. They acted like the sky is falling, and they dominated and won the Super Bowl. When the Philadelphia Eagles have to turn it up, they turn it up and they win. They were down 19 points against the Rams. They turned it up, came back and won. When the Eagles need to do it, they're more than capable of doing so. And that's why I don't think anybody should be counting this team out. Yes, they're a 4.5-point favorite. Yes, they're 4-0. Why are we criticizing the way in which they're winning football games? I like Philly to win this one. They move to 5-0. Texans, Ravens, we already broke it down. I didn't give you my official pick. I like Houston to win this one. I believe they move to 2-3. CJ Stroud really needs this for his confidence for this season. This offense hanging on by a thread. They really need this one as well. Titans going on the road against the Cardinals. I love Cam Ward's mindset. I love how he's been calling everyone out. He said, we're booty right now, but didn't use the word booty. He was calling out the team, and they are booty right now. They don't look good. They do not look like a good football team. They've got a lot of work to do. But if your rookie quarterback, number 1 overall, is holding your team to that type of standard, you should be really thrilled. You should be really, really happy because he's not putting up with this. And I think the Titans are going to be a good football team in the years to come, but they are bad right now. They're going through the ups and the downs. They're going through the downs right now that really every team with a number 1 overall pick goes through. I know we didn't see this with Caleb Williams because he just went to a blessed situation in Chicago. It's like, man, this is what happens when a number 1 overall pick actually goes to a bad team. Bryce Young with Carolina early on. This is the kind of the growing pains that Cam Ward is going through with a terrible team. When you look at the Tennessee Titans, I don't know if they're going to win a football game all year, but I know that they've got a really good quarterback under center. They've got to put some weapons around him. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired Brian Callahan. Also, not advising that he should get fired, but I would not be surprised if he ultimately got let go, but Cam Ward is going to be a stud. I like Arizona to win this one. It feels like a must win. You can't go to 2-3. You can't lose to one of the worst teams in football, if not the worst team in football. You're a 7.5 point favorite. Everything would suggest that Arizona has to win this football game. I like them to get it done. Maybe a good survivor pick if you guys haven't made your picks yet. I like Arizona here. Maybe in the game of the week, Buccaneers going on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, wow, all the way up to a 4.5 point favorite. That surprises me a little bit. Seattle has been a really good football team this year. I don't think they've gotten enough credit and enough love for how good they've been. This defense has been terrific. Sam Darnold has been playing at a really high level. JSN, maybe he's a top 3-4 receiver right now in football. Definitely top 5. He's been playing at an unbelievable rate. And the Seahawks team, they've got a big task against one of the best offenses in the NFL with Baker Mayfield. They're not going to have Bucky Irving this week, so it's going to be Rashad White. It's going to be Emeka Ibuka, and it's going to be Chris Godwin. No Mike Evans again. Baker and the boys, it felt like they should have beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week, and they ultimately dropped the ball. I believe they will be just fine. They've got to bounce back, though, against Seattle. I like Tampa Bay to pull off a nice little upset here. I know this may sound crazy to say, but I think Baker Mayfield's going to have a great game. He's going to bounce back in a major way. And the crazy thing that I'm going to say is I think this is a game that we look at and say, okay, Baker Mayfield can win the MVP this year. That's my hot take coming out of this Week 5 game with Tampa Bay and Seattle. Give me Tampa to pull off a massive, massive upset here. All right, in our 1:25 start times, or 4:25 if you are on the East Coast, West Coast time. Rules: Lions going on the road against the Bengals. Another good survivor pick here. Detroit in a 9.5 point favorite. The Bengals defense is so bad. It's maybe the worst in football. I don't know how they stop a runny nose. And if they can't stop a runny nose, I don't know how you stop the Detroit Lions that love to blow teams out. They love to score points, and they are going to punch this team in the mouth, in my opinion. I mean, ever since they got embarrassed to the Packers, 52 points against the Bears, 38 points against the Ravens, and 34 points against the Browns. This offense in the last 3 weeks has probably been the best in football. They are not going to be stopped. They will not be denied by the Cincinnati Bengals. Easy win for the Lions here. I would say this is probably the game of the week. I am so excited for this game now that Jaden Daniels is back. We've got the Commanders going on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers. This is going to be a really fun one. No Terry McLaurin for the Washington Commanders. Deebo Samuel is questionable. They are going to need him in a big-time way. Joe Alt is also doubtful. So you're going to have the 2 top tackles for Los Angeles. They're not going to be out there for the Chargers. That's going to be big. That's going to be big news for the Chargers. I'm curious to see how they play around that in terms of how they want to stylistically play running the football, getting the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands. I'm excited to see what the Chargers can do. I feel like the Commanders are going to win this game. I feel like they're going to pull off a nice little upset here out of nowhere. With Jaden Daniels back, it seems like they've got to win this game. They can't go to 2-3, especially with how tough this schedule is. Washington's really got to win this football game. I like them to get this one done against the Chargers. The Chargers come down to earth a little bit, but they're still a great football team. Give me the Washington Commanders to beat the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's hop into our Sunday night football game here. Fortnite sound effect again. Patriots going on the road against the Buffalo Bills. All I've heard about this week, and I've been a part of the problem, not the part of the problem, but just a part of it in general. Drake May is all the way here, and I'm very excited to see how he goes into Buffalo with the momentum and the pace at which he's playing at right now. It's going to be really fun to see how he can ultimately do against this Buffalo team that's been maybe the best in football this season so far. Josh Allen is playing the position better than everyone else. He's so fun to watch play, and we get to see him on prime time against the Patriots. These primetime games have been really good. I know Buffalo's a 7.5-point favorite. That was the same thing with the Cowboys and Packers this past Sunday. It was the same thing with the 49ers and with the Rams, and these games have been a lot closer than everybody is expecting. So I like the Buffalo Bills to ultimately win it. I think the Patriots will keep it close, though. Josh Allen reminds the world and continues to remind the world that he is the best football player on the planet. I am excited to see how this Buffalo team can come out here and try and neutralize a Patriots team that is playing with some really, really good momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an unbelievable slate of games today. Sorry for cutting the live stream a little bit short. I've gotta prepare my radio show that you guys can listen to tomorrow morning. That should be a great one as well, where I'll be diving into some more college football. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy this football. I'm gonna reiterate it every single time I can. Let's enjoy these weekends because they are going fast. They're going furious. We are going to be out of these before we know it. So let's enjoy football. Let's enjoy the love of the sport. And you guys have a